So, the short answer is, look, London for 1,000 years has been open to people, trade, and ideas. The reality is, a city that's going to be a global city can't stand still. It's going to carry on evolving. And our greatest asset is our talent. We have on this trip 30 entrepreneurs, tech startups, founders who want to scale up. And they're doing what British people in London have done for generations, making friends, building networks, pinching ideas, forming partnerships. And that's really important. It's an attitude of mind. We've got a campaign. It's a campaign we began post-Brexit result because I was worried an impression may be created that as a consequence of us choosing to leave the EU, we're going to stop these ideas out there. London is open. It's not just simply we're open to talent, ideas, innovation, business, tech, it's state of mind. That's our biggest need.
And yet, you've been quoted saying that if Brexit passed, which obviously that it would be catastrophic. Is it going to be catastrophic?
One of the things I have to do is make sure it's doable. And so what I'm saying to the British government is when it comes to you doing a deal with your union, you need to make sure that London is around the same thing. Because London is a powerhouse for our country. So, for example, access to a single market. So, for example, making sure, look, London has the largest number of international students anywhere in the world. And they come there for a reason. We have the largest number of top universities and cities anywhere in the world. So, the good news is the government is they want us to have a voice around the table. We've got to make sure the deal we do is a good one. Let me just end by saying this. London and Chicago are two great global cities. That's not going to change because of Brexit. London and Chicago have chosen two pretty decent mayors. That's not going to change for the foreseeable future. And the friendship with Emma, Rumi, the entrepreneurs we brought, the help given by 1871 and the expertise here, that's a relationship that's not going to change.
Mayor, how about it? What does, from your perspective, what is Chicago doing to make it more of a tech center? For example, one of the things we heard in the previous panel, that a big challenge is attracting and retaining talent at key points in a person's career.
First of all, there was a couple things we did starting in 2011. Sat down with the tech community. One, creating a space. So between the Montgomery Ward building, this building, and then Fulton, you now have just shy of 80,000 digital jobs. 1871 did not exist before, to now have a common space. And what has happened in 1871? Number one innovation space last year, and number one innovation space in North America again this year. Chicago is rated as the best city for return on venture capital investment for starting. That creates a virtuous cycle. What we have to do, our first goal, create a space or a geography of community. Two other pieces that are key to that effort is second, is research and development with our universities that are tied in, because that's where the next ideas, the next innovation. We've done that with Northwestern on their biomedical. We've done it with the battery research at the University of Chicago. We've done it, we're going to go see the UI labs with digital manufacturing. Chicago continues to be with the University of Illinois, Northwestern Chicago, IIT. We just broke a new innovation space, a place where people come to have ideas. And we now are going to have our third year of the Venture Capital Summit. So idea people and resources are the key to take Chicago to the next generation. And in each of those, we have kind of institutional strategy to help them. But I want to be clear. The entrepreneurs create the ideas, the companies, and the innovations. What the city can do is create a platform for those companies to succeed. We can't create them. Now, what we can do is be open data, which allow apps to be created and other companies to be created. What we can do is bring research dollars into our universities or research labs that create, like going on at Argonne, the next battery research and storage, that then have spin-offs and they have a space to start their company. We are a partner in creating that platform for the entrepreneurs to create the jobs in the companies of tomorrow.
Emma Sinclair is somebody who has been described as a serial entrepreneur. What is it you would say to mayors of cities, heads of government, that I wish cities would realize that? Fill in the blank.
The wonderful thing that I get to experience, to be honest, from London is that cities realise what they need to do, which is create incredible infrastructures with legal, financial, media, and technical know-how. One of the things that Sadiq mentioned is that it's his responsibility partially to ensure those rich ecosystems maintain and continue to nurture themselves post-Brexit. And so really I feel like, speaking for London, I feel like our mayor recognises that, and that's something that's a really important signal for me with a fast growth company, making sure that I stay in London and just benefit from everything that we can face.
Rumi, how about it? What would you like to see cities and other entities of government do that would be helpful for the kinds of things that you're doing?
Sure. Well, and I think London and certainly Chicago is doing a great job with this. Is to help an entrepreneurial community, you also really need to connect entrepreneurs to corporations and the businesses that are in the area. And Chicago has, I want to say, 400 companies headquartered here. Over 30 of all Fortune 500 companies are in Chicago. And what's great about that is that these people cannot just be invested. So I'm with this committee at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and the Chicago Board of Trade. But I lead their venture capital unit, right? So we're investing in young companies. So you have a corporation like this, you have a ventures unit, and then you have all the customers. So you're not just investors, but possible customers. And I have to say we're working very closely with initiatives like Chicago Next, with Innovate Finance in London, really part of communities where the cities are helping corporations connect to entrepreneurs.
I'd like to segue now to the global cities portion of it. Again, I wish we had a little more time, but let's talk about London's status as a global city, Chicago's as well. Mayor Khan, just after you were elected, you told Time Magazine that you wanted to sit down with Mayor Emanuel. Why Chicago and why Mayor Emanuel?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the playful. And when you look, all the good ideas are out there. When you see somebody doing things wrong, you shouldn't be embarrassed to reach out. And so there are challenges. Look, the technology, the innovation they're doing, they can't do by themselves. And Ron's right. We can create the environment where these guys flourish and thrive. But look, there are knock-on concerns. Housing. If Emma can't afford to live in London, it's an issue for her recruiting, infrastructure. If there isn't social passport, if there isn't open data, if there isn't a good trial system, she can't flourish access to finance. Really, really important. Regulation. And so, rather than some half-decent things, I thought I'd come and check it out myself, and it's really important to recognise that actually businesses that Ruby and Emma are involved in, they're very different. They can leave very easily from London and go elsewhere. So we've got to give them a reason to stay. But actually the reality is that the world is a smaller place than it used to be. Globalization, technology means it's possible for Emma and Ruby to do business being 4,000 miles apart. It's possible for customers to purchase things being 6,000 miles apart. The talent that Emma and Ruby use could maybe a different continent. So me as leader of London, I think it's right proper to speak to experts around the world, people in the private sector, people in the various cities.
This is a question I want to ask both of you, and Mayor Emanuel, if you could answer this question. How do you ensure that Chicago continues to operate as an open, pluralistic city when there's so much anxiety? Here's about terrorism, here's concerns about immigration, and the schisms that exist in this country as evidenced by the presidential campaign. And the schism that apparently exists to a certain extent in London based on the kind of campaign that you saw when you were running for mayor, Mayor Khan. Mayor Emanuel?
Well, our first conversation that Sadiq and I had was about the fact that obviously as a Muslim and as a Jew, that's not the majority faith or heritage of our cities, but it is our home, London and Chicago. It's where our parents, our grandparents journeyed to give the next generation. And it was the fact that Chicago and London, in one way or another, was open to inviting immigrants to give their children and their grandchildren a chance. Now, as soon as we sat down last night at Green Mill, we didn't talk to two men. I don't remember you paying the cover though. As soon as we sat down, you were the father of two young girls who were becoming young adults. Father of three, but two young girls becoming adults. And we talked about our common goals and aspirations of how does our two daughters grow up and one day we'll hopefully sit on a program talking about their businesses. And I don't think it should be lost on anybody, whether it's Muslim or Jew, that we have as fathers share a vision and a desire for our children. It's no different regardless of our faith. But I will say, don't think it's not being noticed around the world now that you have a Jewish mayor and a Muslim mayor, two different global cities, cities that have embraced the diversity and people that coming together. Now tomorrow, my rabbi could not be happier because it took a Muslim to get me to go to synagogue. Not just on my own. And I'm taking him to synagogue, and we're going to pray together and pray of different faiths, but of a common vision that I think are the values of inclusion. And I think that's a tremendous statement in a world where people want to exacerbate differences. That we know our differences, they exist, but how do you bring people together? And so we saw a simple example, and I know I'm over my time. I took them on the river walk. They're talking about what they're going to do on the river. But you have people all different walks of life sharing that experience. Or 606, how to use open space to bring people of different backgrounds, different economies, different heritages to have a common not only space, but experience that allows you to achieve both your economic and your social goals as well.
Mayor Khan, how about it? How do you maintain London's position as an open, transparent, pluralistic city when there are pressures regarding immigration, concerns about terrorism, and so forth?
One of the things that's important to emphasize is I made a point about London is open. London is open for the reasons that Brian alluded to in relation to our state of mind. But you know, London has chosen on May of this year. They had a choice. You know, they could have chosen a different perspectives when it came to the election. They chose our offer. What was our offer? Our offer was helping entrepreneurs. Our offer was being the most pro-business mayor London's ever seen. Our offer was making sure with ultra-fast broadband. Our offer was making sure that school-aged girls learn about coding. It's a mainstream thing, coding for girls. Our offer was making sure we have affordable housing for Londoners, but also we make sure London is welcoming for talent, innovation, and for business. Our offer was making sure when we think about new developments, whether it's open plan, the ability to network and talk to each other like we do here in 71. So whether it's community space, we think about how communities mix. And my offer is very simple. Look, for 1,000 years, London's been a great place to come for business, for holiday, for tourism, to study, to invest. That's not going to change.
Mayor Khan, as the first Muslim mayor of a major Western city, do you feel any particular personal pressure in how to use
Look, I mean, first and foremost, I'm the mayor of a great city. I was chosen, I hope, not just one for the books, but also, and not because of my faith or my ethnicity, but because of my all-round experiences. And Rahm brings the same to the table when it comes to being the mayor of Chicago. Rahm, you wouldn't realize, Rahm was the first mayor of Jewish faith elected in Chicago. I was the first mayor of Islamic faith elected in London. But I'm hoping people voted for us because of the overall package. What is our vision for our city? What are our experiences as somebody who, for me, raised a housing project, humble background, son of immigrants? What experiences do I bring as a former lawyer, running a small business? Somebody who stayed at home with my mum and dad last 24 years, sleeping on the top bed of a bunk bed. Somebody who's been working since I was 14 with a paper around his waist, and Saturday jobs, doing other jobs, working on labouring. Those experiences, I think, are experiences common to employing people. People work this sucks. The London promise is this. You work hard, you get a helping hand, you can achieve anything. If you like the American dream, and my message to entrepreneurs in Chicago, to investors, to those thinking about forming partnerships, thinking about scaling up, is London is open. We've got the most talented people in the world outside of Chicago. I better say that. Otherwise,
Your microphone just went up.
and it's really important to recognise. The market in London is huge of talented people, of innovators. Emma was in Toronto recently. She's a good example of a London. And by the way, half of our delegation, half, are women.
Let me say one thing, Phil.
Mayor Emanuel, closing thoughts.
Well, we're going to sign an agreement between London and Chicago on technology and sharing, an agreement. But are also going to relate to your second question. One of the visits we're going to do is to Whole Foods in Englewood. There's 30 entrepreneurs around that have gotten their ideas off of their kitchen and into their storefronts. And how you can make investments in other neighborhoods so it's not just what's happening, although our central business districts are thriving, but take that energy, take that opportunity, and make sure all the residents are participating. And so, we have a great city, a world-class city, London. And Sadiq wanted to make sure, and I wanted to make sure that he saw all of Chicago. So we'll go to Englewood, and we talked last night, after we're done with talking about our daughters, but how technical schools can be an economic engine. And Whole Foods is across the street from Kennedy King Community College, the School on Culinary and Hospitality, and how we're creating both job opportunities, and they're not tech entrepreneurs, but they are small businesses in the food area, and they have their start now because Whole Foods decided to do something. And so we borrow ideas. We were just talking about LED lighting. And I said that the mayor of Vancouver has a brilliant idea. We're trying to copy that. We share from each other. You're all, the tech community is going to collaborate. We're collaborating. How do you invest in transportation? How do you invest in technology? How do you invest in talent from kindergarten all the way up and make changes where everybody has a chance to succeed and one day either have a company of their own or have the skill set to be a promising employee at any company they choose to work on, and they're not going to work at one in their life. They're going to work at multiple. And I want to underscore what Sadiq said. Any one of the companies here can be in any city. They don't have to be there. And you have to compete to win, and you have to stay competitive. Change is the new constant. And we as investors on the public side have to make sure that the infrastructure, from talent to transportation to technology, and today we flipped on the switch on our smart city, we have to be making sure that our investments in that platform stay competitive so they can succeed in creating the jobs and opportunities. And that's what Chicago's doing.
Sorry. That's what I have to leave it. A round of applause, please, for Mayor Khan.